My name is Scott Beecham. I'm an associate judge in the family courts of Dallas County, which is 7 courts. I specifically serve out of the 255th District Court.
So my name is Sally Pretorius, and I am a family lawyer in the Dallas and Collin County areas.
My name is Brittany Harrison, and I am a family law attorney at Calabrese Budner here in Dallas, Texas.
If somebody wants to file for divorce or they're considering a divorce, the first thing I would recommend they do is figure out what county they're in. I know that sounds very basic, but it can depend. It starts off as the ground for who you're going to hire, what attorney you're going to hire, if you're going to hire an attorney, and what county you're going to file in.
Generally, when someone is wanting to know what the divorce process looks like, I like to describe to them, you'll file a petition for divorce, and that'll start the process. During the first, there's a waiting period for 60 days. The petition must be on file with the court for 60 days before a court can even grant your divorce. During that 60-day process, you must notify your spouse of the divorce in the form of either a waiver of service or potentially getting served by a process server so that they are notified that you have filed for divorce. From there, there's a lot of different things that could happen depending on the level of controversy in your case. Some cases are uncontested, whereas some cases have a lot of issues that need to be decided. During that process, you can have temporary orders, perhaps, to give some guidelines about what the rules are going to be during the pendency of the divorce and how the parties are to behave, how the parties are to pay for things if they're living in separate houses or if they're going to have someone move out of a house. The temporary orders are going to govern what the rules are for the parties.
The first thing that I would do is look at what you've been served with and read the papers.
If you were served with papers, I would recommend going and speaking with an attorney to find out exactly what you need to do and to find out exactly when you need to file your answer in the suit.
Do you need a lawyer for mediation? My advice is always you need a lawyer, but there are mediators here in Texas that will mediate without either party having an attorney. What you have to recognize is that if you do go to mediation without an attorney, is the mediator cannot give you legal advice.
Sometimes people cannot afford an attorney. And if that's the case, you can represent yourself in court. And there are numerous resources available online for what we call pro se litigants.
The court's role in the divorce case is pretty all-encompassing. It's, it starts out, the court will frequently issue temporary orders. In other words, these are orders during the course of the case for there's rules for the parties regarding their property and their children. Then the court will oversee the discovery process, getting information to get ready for trial, and then finally the court will try the case at the end of the divorce case or SAPSR case as the case may be.
Discovery can be a very informal process or it can be a formal process. In the state of Texas, we do discovery to discover issues that might be preeminent in your case or that might be things that we might have to discuss when we go to court.
Discovery is taken very seriously by the courts. They do not like having a spouse not turn over documents. So if someone is supposed to respond to discovery and they refuse to comply, for example, or they just only give a certain amount of information, the requesting party can actually file what's called a motion to compel. And then they have to go before the court, and the spouse that's hiding the documents or not producing has to explain to the court why they did not produce those. That's not a position you want to be in. The court wants everyone to be open and honest about all of the assets and all of the community property and the separate property that belongs to the parties. And so a court could punish a spouse for not producing the documents in the way of awarding attorney's fees to the party that's requesting it.
With regards to custody, I always tell my clients in Texas, it's not like what you hear in court or on TV. So there is not typically it is very rare to see a party have primary custody like you hear in court. Like, I want sole custody of my kids. In Texas, there are 2 different portions to child custody. There are the decision-making portions, and then there's actual physical time with your child.
The court has discretion to do what's in the best interest of the children. I always recommend trying to come to an agreement because no one knows your children better than you do. And if you can't come to an agreement, you're putting the decision for what's best for your children in the hands of the court.
The parties can be creative. You guys can agree to whatever you want to agree to. So if you guys agree that one day with mom, one day with dad, one day with mom, one day with dad is what works for your kid, the court will likely sign off on whatever agreement you have.
the judge in a family court case is usually deciding the outcome of the case. In addition to making all the determination on evidence, all the other procedural issues, the court is the one usually making the determination on the outcome. And even with a jury trial, the court is still making the ultimate decision on some of a portion of the outcome.
If you do not decide to hire an attorney and you would like to represent yourself, there are numerous resources available online. For example, tyla.org has what we call the Pro Se Divorce Handbook. That handbook is also available in Spanish. We also have divorce guides for teens as well as divorce guide for children available on the tyla.org website. Within all of those resources, it explains the process, explains what temporary orders are. It explains what pleadings you have to file. It also explains kind of the procedure that's going to be needed during the process for the divorce.